Peace, 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 peace. What is going on, world? Welcome to another episode of Substantial Weekly. Of course, my name is Substantial. Do me a favor before we jump all the way into it, because I've been off because of the tour I was on. Just let me know how the audio sound in the yard. Everything's everything, all that good stuff. But peace to everyone in the chat watching right now. Peace to Kais. What's going on? Early Bird, what up, bro? We definitely got to reconnect soon. And everyone else watching, no matter where you're watching in the world, happy to be back. Hope y'all are doing good. I know we are in crazy / interesting times, to say the least. But yeah, man, we'll jump into all of that, talk about, of course, some things I got on the agenda, but also let me know if there are, we always got our live Q&A, and I definitely have no problem talking about any of the things that are on your mind right now, man. I know in the crazy times we're in, we definitely need to be leaning on each other more than ever. So, happy to have some time now to be able to do these lives consistently now that the tour is done and other things are in the works. So yeah, man, we got more time to build and check in on each other. There it is. All right. So do me a favor, first and foremost, if you're watching right now, let me know where you're tuning in from, all that good stuff. And of course, we'll jump into it. Today we're gonna got a little bit of recap stuff we'll talk about with the recent China tour. Shout out to my brother Marcus D. Shout out to Echo, the company that brought us out. Freya, Yuki and the team and everybody else. But yeah, Early, thanks for confirming that the sound is good on this end. I'm gonna do something really quickly. Not trying to be rude by hopping on the phone, but there I think was one more. There were like one or two areas I had to drop the link in real fast. So I'm just doing that and then we will keep it pushing. All right. But in the meantime, in between time, hold up. Faith, what's going on, Faith? Peace. Faith from France is in the place. Big up to you as well. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Let's see. Hold up. Drop that link. And then, cool. So that is sent. And let's make sure it is over here. Got one more place to drop it just to make sure we've done all the things. Was running behind today. Because the studio, y'all definitely look. I'm looking to see what y'all can and can't see. Excuse me. Yeah, it's batshit crazy in here. Suitcases, merchandise, a whole lot of stuff I got to clean up. Just to kind of get back, get things in working order, to say the least. Let's throw this back up here. Hey, what's going on, Namu? What up, nephew? Good to see you up in here, Nair. Thanks for joining us. All right. Yeah. Did I get it? Yep. All right, cool. So let's go over here. Drop this link. And then got one more place. Share it to channel. Yes. All right. Boom and boom. All right, so it's been shared all the places, so we'll see who can join and who can't. It's all love. What up, sis? What's going on, Stacy? We forgot to follow back up with you last night. It was busy, to say the least. Whole lot going on with the not about to say Destiny, with Serenity's birthday yesterday. So yeah, we're gonna get into all the things. Question for the chat: who's seen the latest Nintendo Direct? If Serenity was here, she definitely would tell you that she's seen it. All right, Warpath, what up? Peace, good to see you, family. Uncrowned Otaku, peace. What's going on, fam? Good to see you up in here. All right, so as I mentioned before, we got a lot to talk about. So one of the things I wanted to do today, since it's the day after 9/11, that day is a unique day, to say the least, for many reasons, for many people. Obviously, most people, when they think of 9/11, they think of the terrorist attacks that happened in '01 and, in New York City. I happened to live in New York City. I lived in New York City at the time that it happened. And so one of the things I was thinking about today, I can't remember if on, because we've been doing this for years now, both Substantial Weekly and Substantial Sundays, and I can't remember if in the past I've ever like really kind of talked about what my experience is. I feel like I have, but definitely, man, if anybody got questions, thoughts and stuff like that, man, anything y'all want to talk about in regard to that a lot of times these days, because my oldest daughter, her birthday is the same day, like she was born 7 years after it happened. And so a lot of times I don't really have time to, let's say it different. I don't take time to really reflect on on all the things I experienced that day. Like since literally the day she was born, that day for me has been all about her, you know what I mean? And because it's literally the day I became a father as well. So it's just crazy how these life altering experiences, man, how one thing can happen on that day and now every day going forward or whatever. And when you move through that city, things that once were there aren't there anymore. Things that people that were there are no longer there. Friends who had certain experiences and certain views of New York and or their time there, how like drastically it changed the day after, especially depending on what you saw like from the people there, both good and bad. Because a lot of times people oftentimes talk about like how people came together on that day, and I noticed that there's always people who kind of glaze over the folks who weren't included in that togetherness, you know what I mean, as well. And I have friends who are Muslim and who are Indian, or look Middle Eastern, however you would like to describe them, who have very different experiences than a lot of us, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, just and then I have friends who appear to be Middle Eastern, but are actually Latina, right? Like who had crazy experiences that day as well. You know what I mean? So like, it's just interesting, man. Been just thinking about it earlier today, man. It was on my mind. But peace to everybody again. Steph, what up? Peace. All right. But yeah, so as I mentioned, was reflecting on 9/11 for a second. For those who don't know, I was living in New York at the time. I used to work for a company called About.com, which was kind of like, I guess, like when you think of what Google is, kind of similar, I guess, in some respects. Search engine, things of that nature. Companies would pay to kind of, bump their company up in the listing. So when people were searching for it, et cetera, and all of that. So I was working there around the time all of this was happening. Of course, I was still doing music as well. But that day is always crazy to me because I just think about waking up, getting ready for work, going through the basic routine. Everything was everything. Normal Brooklyn morning, as normal as a morning in Brooklyn could be. And man, walking to the bus stop, I just remember a police officer who was talking to this other guy, and as they're talking, I see the guy, not the police officer, mouth "oh," and he's pointing, and the way he's pointing, it looks like he's pointing down the street. And I'm definitely the type of dude who minds his business most days, because I'm just trying to get where I gotta be, unless it's something that like is not just going to potentially put me in harm's way, put other people in harm's way. And it's one of those things that like, somebody got to step in and do something. That's a bit different. But a lot of times, if it ain't my business, it ain't my business. I keep it pushing, And so, yeah, so when I saw homeboy doing what he doing, I didn't know what he was referring to. It just looked like he was pointing down the block, and I knew I wasn't going that way. So I was like, hey, man, let me get on this bus, bro. Let me get on this bus, bro. Keep it pushing. So me and the missus, we do just that. We get on the bus. We keep heading to work. Later, I realized that he was pointing in the direction of the towers, right? So, we catch the bus downtown Brooklyn. We're going down DeKalb or whatever, and when we get off the bus, like as we get ready to get on the train, we see all of these. We see EMS, we see fire trucks, we see all of these like joints just flying down Flatbush Ave, heading in the direction of Manhattan. Again, we live in New York. Crazy stuff, like stuff. I'm not gonna say stuff like this, but that type of activity, it's not like out of place. And I think it's important to understand that at the moment, it seemed like a lot was happening, but we didn't have context of like exactly what was happening and how many fire trucks, ambulances total had come down the street. Because again, minding our business, going to work, get on the train. As we're crossing the bridge, the train's crossing the bridge, we can see that one of the World Trade Center buildings was smoking, on fire, all of that, which was crazy. Now, it's important to point out, always point this out with the story, is like a week before there was a Cessna plane that crashed into a building in Florida, right? And there's been times in New York where helicopters have hit buildings and stuff in New York. So again, these are rare occurrences, but they've happened enough where like, it's what can I do in this moment, right? Like, so, just like, damn, that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? You pray no one's hurt. But again, I'm, it's going through the motions, it's going to work. We cross the bridge. Well, no, before we cross the bridge, as we keep moving, we can see that both buildings are on fire. And that like, we're just like, what type of plane or helicopter hit this joint? Because like, these are like, there's a lot of damage and these are huge buildings. So, and we're like, did it hit one building and go through and hit that? Like, again, no context, hadn't watched the news that morning. We just, we're just going to work. My wife has to get off the train because she literally, crazy part, one of her two jobs at the time, one of them is in the basement of the World Trade Center, right? So there's like a mall under the World Trade Center, and she worked at a store there. But that's not where she's going that particular day. She's going to her other job, thank God. That's an important piece of the story. So, but yeah, she goes to her job and stuff, which isn't that far from out like Houston, in New York. And then I'm heading to around the Times Square area. Yeah, man, I get to the job. You hear people talking about things on the train, but it's like I can't really make out what people are saying. So I don't really fully know what's happening. And after a while, I just kind of have my headphones on, zoning out. And so, I get out, get off the train, walk into the office. When I get to the front door, I notice that like, there's no receptionist at the front door, and it looks dark inside of the building. So I go ahead and use my credentials to get in the building, or to get into that section of the building. Walk in, I look around, it look like a ghost town. I'm like, what the hell is happening? So I get to my desk, I notice that I got voicemails and stuff. So, I'm at my work, so naturally I check my voicemails. As I'm getting ready to do that, my phone's blowing up too, where I got a ton of messages there. So the first thing I do is go through my work voicemail, go through that. First message is my brother, right? Which is the most recent message. It's my brother who works at the Weather Bureau in New York. And he's like, hey, Stan, I don't know if you're at work right now, but if you are, go home. Click. That's it. That's all he says. So then I check my voicemail on my cell phone. It's my brother again, saying damn near the same. He's like, I don't know where you at right now. I'm assuming you on the train. That's why your phone didn't pick up. But if you're on your way to work, turn around, go home. That's all he says. Hang that joint up. And then something tells me, I was like, man, let me check my home phone. Cause that's two odd messages from my brother. And I was just like, trying to cause again, he's not saying what's happening. He's just being real brief. And so I check my home phone, joint, cause it's back when people still had a home phone. And sure enough, another voicemail from my brother, like, yo, hey, I was trying to catch you before you left for work. Whenever you get this, just let me know you all right. But yeah, stay out of the city. That was very specific. Stay out of the city. So at that time, I can kind of hear like voices in the back. I look up and I look in the game/break room. When I used to work at About, we had like a game room that was also like our break room and stuff. And there was a large TV in there. And I noticed that a ton of people from the office were all like kind of scrunched in that room, or like starting to walk in. It's crazy how like I didn't notice anybody as I'm coming in, because most of the people, they're like way off in this particular area, and my office is in the opposite direction. So I just missed the fact that they were there because they were so quiet. I start to walk toward that room, and as I'm walking toward the room to see what's going on, literally I can see the TV and the first building falls, and like everybody's like, it's like scream, sighs, like people like dropping to their knees and stuff, like in shock. And yeah, I just remember turning around, grabbing my stuff, and then walking straight to the door, like, yo, I'm out. You know, I get stopped by a dude I worked with, who was reminding me like an important, not, it's a small part of the story, but I think the week before or 2 weeks before, no, it was like about a week or so before, this was a job that literally I was about to be leaving, partly because they gave me an opportunity to transfer. They were like, hey, we're about to kill this department here at the New York office. And like, they don't start the conversation like that. They basically started by saying, how do you feel about Utah? And I'm like, hey, man, I don't say it like this to them exactly, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm a black guy that lives in Brooklyn, New York. Utah was definitely not on the bingo card, fam. You know, like when it's me and Karl Malone, like I know nothing about Utah other than the Utah Jazz. And I know a lot more about it now, but still not enough to be like, hey, that'd be a great place to live. Oh, that and Mormons. That's what all I knew. So needless to say, when they offered the opportunity to transfer, and even with them setting me up out there and all of that, I still was like, nah. So they were like, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. We'll give you 2 weeks and stuff, severance package, blah, 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 et cetera, the usual. So that particular week, the Monday before 9/11, 9/11 was on a Tuesday. How I remember that too is because Tuesdays when albums drop, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Jay-Z's Blueprint dropped that same day. And so that Monday, I literally met with my supervisor and the guy who was pretty much going to be doing my job out in Utah. So yo, I see the guy. They're like, yo, where you going? I'm like, you mean where I'm going? You saw it just happen. Like, what type of stupid ass question is that? And so I was like, yo, I'm out. I was like, I'm not staying in the city. It's clearly not safe. And I didn't understand the context of what I was saying, but I was just like, yo, buildings are falling, fam, and I don't know why. And I'm literally on the 20th floor of a building right now. Why would I stay, right? And on top of that, I'm also thinking about my wife, right? Like, she was my girlfriend at the time, but I'm thinking about Shell. And I'm like, yo, I'm about to go back to her. So literally the woman who, the receptionist for the company, she sees me leaving and she was like, Stan, do you mind if I walk with you? And I look her in her face, I'm like, yo, get your shit, because I'm leaving now. It was like, it's like, yo, I got people to get to. I got places to go. Yo, like, sis, get your shit. I'm leaving now. And so, so she's walking with me, like from, this is like 42, so like 40th, somewhere like that, Midtown. I walk all the way down to, I don't know if that's Washington Square Park. Nah, I walk down past, maybe like Union Square is where I walk down to. I walk down to the Union Square area because I'm heading toward this bookstore that my man Isaiah Insanity from the other guys, where he works. And so I'm heading there, because like my wife, who's my girlfriend at the time, she works at a book company, a publication company. So and I couldn't remember the address because I hadn't been there yet. I've been to her other job, but this job was new and I hadn't been there yet. But I knew it was a publication. So I was like, my boy work at a bookstore. I get to check on my closest friend. And if he's heading back to Brooklyn, we can walk together. But more importantly, he might have her publication at his store, and then I can find the address. This is pre-smartphones, fam. So like I'm figuring out how to get to my wife the best way I can with the limited resources I got. Because like everybody at this point, even though I was able to check my voicemail, once I got in the streets and tried to make calls on my cell phone, like nothing was getting through. So yo, like I go, as the story goes, I walk into I walk into my boy office, or walk into his job, and he was like, "What took you so long?" The direct quote. That's exactly. He was like, "What took?" Like he knew I was coming. And then I was like, "Yo, got to get Shell." I was like, "Yo," like gave him the name of the company. I was like, "Let me know if y'all got this book here." Again, pre-Google, pre-smartphones, no camera phones, none of that shit. So he finds the book. The thing about this publication that she works for, this is not like a typical magazine or whatever. It's a resource. So this book's like this thick, and it literally costs people like a ridiculous amount of money to even get this book. So although they have one, at the time we didn't have paper or pencil, or didn't bother to grab it. We just look at the name, we look at the address, and then we both committed to memory, and we're like, all right, bet we'll take that. And yeah, sorry, y'all. I don't know if background sounds are coming through because there's something that just popped up on my phone, but just let me know if it do. I'll do better to try and check the chat. But yeah, I'll pause in the story for a second when I get past this part just to see if there's questions. But yeah, so we basically commit the address to memory, right? And we leave. Terrible decision. Because there's way too much happening for us to really focus and not forget this address. So we don't forget it completely. What we did was we mix up the numbers. So we end up showing up at an address that's along the route, and it was in the direction because we had the street right, but we had the numbers mixed up. So when we hit the buzzer, the person that comes down, this is one of the many crazy things that happened that day. The person that comes down is literally someone I know. Right. And it was just, she's like, "Stan, what are you doing there?" I'm like, "Yo," I can't remember her name now, but we had, I think we had 3D class together at Pratt. And so she's like, "Oh my God, how are you doing?" I was like, "Definitely been better with all this." She's like, "Yo, this shit is crazy." I'm like, "I know." I was like, "Yeah, yo, be safe. I gotta go." It was like, "Good seeing you, but I gotta go." And so, so again, we're like rearranging the numbers, trying to figure out where we made our mistake. We get to the building because we can see the company's name on the building, on like the little buzzer. So we know we're at the right place now. We get there, we're hitting the buzzer. Door's not opening. No one's answering, nothing. So, we stick around like maybe 5-10 minutes trying to see if someone's coming out of the building so we can go in. All of that. I later found out that my wife her and her co-workers, they went to the top of their building because they could see the World Trade Center from where they were. And so they were watching it. They were literally on top of their building watching the buildings fall. And so I then, Isaiah's like, "Yo, what you want to do?" And I was like, "Man, maybe she already left. Maybe she's already on her way to Brooklyn. I doubt if she'd be like coming uptown, going further away from home to try to get to me. Hopefully she's just going home." Right. So he's like, "All right, bet, let's go to Brooklyn." So we start making our way. I damn near get clipped by, what was crazy too is one of the buildings literally fell. The second building fell during this time. And you just see people from downtown like rushing toward our direction, trying to get away from like debris and clouds of smoke and all the stuff. And the further we got downtown, the more we start seeing people, because literally to get to the bridge that's closest to our area, like, we had to go, we were north, having to walk south. We weren't going to go like all the way to like Manhattan Bridge, but, or like the Brooklyn Bridge, but we figured we'd take the Williamsburg. It was far enough away. So as we're walking to the Williamsburg joint, we're walking and talking, and I'm just so locked into the conversation. I'm not paying attention to where I'm walking, so I almost walk out in the street. Isaiah snatches me up, and I literally almost got hit by a police car that was doing, like, they were speeding. So it'd have been a wrap for me. So that was crazy. Have a moment of like real, like, yo, that could have been a different way to go on this day. Just not being careful. So like now I'm like super locked in, even more locked into my surroundings and stuff, kind of how I was before. Got like we're talking, but like I'm looking at everything as we're talking now. So we get to the bridge and just, yo, let me tell you something. Crossing bridges when you're seeing planes go by, because now when I saw the clip online with my coworkers, now we realize like a plane or planes plural hit the buildings. So now it's like anytime we see a plane in the sky, and yo, we're walking for a while. This is a 3-hour walk, mind you. So when we get to the bridge, we literally see planes like just kind of hovering the area, like just flying the area. Now at this point in time, it's the military, but still, when you have a general idea of what happened, and now you're seeing planes fly over, and you're about to cross a bridge, that's some terrifying shit, because you're like, all right, they hit these buildings. Why wouldn't they hit bridges next, right? And so yo, leap of faith. We crossed the bridge. Walking the bridge took forever. Keep in mind, driving across a bridge in New York with traffic takes forever. You know what I'm saying? Or with no traffic, still takes like 5-10 minutes or whatever, maybe like 5 minutes. So yeah, it's like, I want to say like at least 20-30 minute walk across the bridge alone, something like that. Might be exaggerating, I don't know. Finally get across it. We're grateful and stuff. We're a little lighter. We're talking about things that maybe aren't as serious now, just kind of taking our mind off, escaping for as quick as we can. I remember laughing about something Isaiah said, and then seeing a rabbi in the street who was like, they were giving us water and helping other people. But I remember laughing at that moment and then looking up and quickly being brought back to reality when the rabbi looked in my face, just kind of disappointed, like I didn't understand the seriousness of what was going on. And so, I don't want to say I checked myself, but I definitely, it was just like, yo, I was brought back to reality real quick. Like, yo, a ton of people just died. And yeah, we're lucky to be here, but there's a lot of people don't know where their loved ones right now. And I'm still trying to figure out where my girlfriend's now wife is. So, just kind of like shit was sobering. And so, yeah, we keep walking, get back to, we eventually get to Isaiah's crib. I eventually get to mine. And the missus finally gets there as well. And so thankfully we were okay. But yo, let me tell you, man, like, I want to say that, like, just all the stuff I saw, I'm like, I definitely saw people coming together, which was beautiful. But like, just the fear, especially in New Yorkers' face, like, people who just like, I think New York kind of gets like, it's under the impression like, yo, these motherfuckers seen it all, right? And like, looking at people who typically are a little more confident maybe than the average person, or at least on the surface act like they got it figured out, got it together, and looking around and realizing that everybody like really doesn't know what the fuck is happening. You know what I mean? And how bad it is. Is this the start? Is this it? Like, not really knowing. And then watching the news, like, the small victories of people who lived through the shit and then others who didn't. Like, yeah, man, it was crazy. It feels like not a strong enough word. Crazier thing was like, some of the things happened the following day, like getting a call from my man Asif, who's Indian, and he was like, yo, what are you doing now? Well, I was just checking on him, actually. Was like, yo, what you up to and stuff. He's like, bro, I'm just in my apartment. I haven't left since the shit started happening. Once I got in the house, I stayed there because I've been getting harassed all, like, the whole time I was out. Like, everywhere I went, people were like, yo, it's your fault. I'm like, fuck you. People spitting at me. Like, it was crazy. And so I remember talking to the missus and being like, yo, we should go see Asif. And so we went to him, and like we went and like we walked this neighborhood with him so he could feel safe, and more importantly, so he could get some food and all of that. So like, yo, we ate food together, and it was just crazy, yo. Like, just, you forget. Like, I know what my experience is as a black person in this country in certain spaces and what it's been, and things that like people don't believe oftentimes because that's not their experience, but you know to be real because you've lived through it. So just talking to one of my homies, and who's like a dude who's really, this dude's been nothing but like a solid human being his whole life, man. And knowing that he's being treated like this and being assumed that he somehow is he or like just it's that thing where it's like people can't actually lash out and hurt the people who've done the thing. So hey, you're the next best thing, you look like them, right? And I remember driving through or walking through Brooklyn that day and seeing dudes like in a truck like drive by like screaming at me and Isaiah like, hey my nigga, the Arabs did it, yo, like, yo, we gonna get them. Like, this is real shit. Like, when I listen to people reflect on this day or talk about 9/11 a lot of times, like, I don't hear those stories as much, right? Like, people, like, we focus on the good for good reason mostly, but shit wasn't all hearts and rainbows and looking out for the man next to you. You know what I mean? It definitely wasn't that. It was also a lot of angry people too. So yeah, man. Yeah, it was wild. But fast forward like 7 years later, that same day, like, I become a dad. And I remember getting up that morning and watching the news and Day of Remembrance, literally reflecting on all the experiences and shit that I had that day. And then the next thing we're going to Shell's doctor's appointment, or our doctor's appointment, to see how the baby's doing. And the doctor gets quiet for a second, steps out in the hallway, or checks something, and then comes back and says, hey, some things aren't looking right to me. So I think maybe the baby's gonna come a bit early, and they predict that the baby's gonna come like maybe in about a week or so, or like 2 weeks or something like that. And so I go out, I call my job. This was when I was working at Covenant House, Washington. Call my job and was like, yo, it looks like after next week I'm gonna start paternity leave because it looks like the baby's gonna come a little bit earlier than we anticipated. And then I come back in the into the room. The doctor looks me in the face after talking to Shell. It's like, nah, the baby's coming today. I was like, I'll be right back. Walk back in the hallway. I called the job back, was like, so I guess I'll see y'all in a month because it looks like my daughter's going to be born today. And they're like, oh my God, Stan, that's so exciting. Congratulations. And so all the things. And yeah, man, craziest things about that day, or not, like, cool, obviously, becoming a parent, doing this with the person you love, the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with, is amazing. But other little cool things, like things that kind of restore your faith in humanity. One crazy thing that happened, or not even crazy thing, one cool thing that happened, and I feel like I'm mixing days, so I'll save the other story because the first one I know for a fact it happened on this day. But I'm just updating everybody. I'm updating everyone, letting everybody know what's good. No, it did. Yes, both happened on the same day. So anyway, the first thing is I'm texting everybody, like letting them know the good news and stuff. Like, yo, she came so quick, man. Like the baby, Serenity was ready. Like she was ready to get. And yeah, man, it was wild because I'm texting folks, letting them know what's happening and that the baby's been born, and telling them her name and all of that. And I remember, yo, shout out to Rise, shout out to my underground hip hop heads who know who Rise is. But Rise is a really dope rapper from New York, clever, man, super sick wordplay. And he when I hit him up, man, and to tell him that, like, was becoming a dad, or just became a dad, and said what the baby's name was, he was just like, yo, he's like, yo, the fact that, you named your child Serenity and she was born today, a day where people need peace more than ever, right? And I was just like, yo, it's like, it just, how it hit in that moment was like, damn, especially knowing that she was supposed to come later, but ended up being born on that day. So I think that has kind of helped me not like just reflect on the horrors of this day and what we lost on this day. This day became a day where, of course, I think about what so many of us lost and what so many people lost that day. Or I should say yesterday. Like, it became a day I gained the world, yo. You know what I mean? Like, I gained, like, yo, like, just that moment, man, looking down, realizing what you helped make. And now, like, when you look at, like, all the bad stuff that happens in the world, I guess is the point of the whole thing. You look at all the bad shit that happens in the world and realize that there's a part of you that's terrified, because you realize that now it's your job to protect your child from as much of this shit as you can, or at least prepare her or prepare them in a way that they are equipped to navigate, whatever path this world leads them down. That's some scary shit. But, like, then the flip side of it is you also realize that so much of what we deal with is because of, like, who people become over time. People weren't born bad people, right? Like, they were just born, and then, experience who their parents are, who they come in contact with, what trauma they deal with that never gets resolved and shit. All of that molds them, like, in ways that a lot of us can't imagine. So the flip side of the being scared about what your child's going to encounter is you realize that, yo, I got the most important fucking job on the planet, and I got to do everything in my power to make an amazing human being that, will never do anything remotely close to what happened on this day, and just be a great contribution to society and all the things, man, like all the stereotypical shit. But, like, that's all I've tried to do since that day, yo. That's it. And so, just reflecting on Serenity's life, man, this kid's amazing, yo. She's amazing. So I'm gonna shut up about that, because you see it in my face. You know what's coming. But yeah, yo. So happy belated birthday to Serenity Luna Robinson. Great kid, great person. She's great to everybody that she comes in contact with, and she's an amazing artist, and she's all the things, man. She's all the things. So yeah, it's dope. But yo, let me go to these comments, man. Let's see. I was young but still remember that day. They thought Chicago would be next. Wow. I was there too, at school in history class of all places. Wow. Early says, I got to get back to work. Yo, peace, man. Thank you. I'll let her know you said that early. I can't imagine what it was like being there when it happened. Good morning, peace. What's going on, Happy Mochi? Good morning, everybody. Blessed Friday to you and yours. Same to you, sis. Let's also take this banner down. Hold up. Back to the comments. Says, one of my college friends lost her boyfriend in the attack. Yeah, sorry for her loss, yo. He was in the train that was crushed when one of the towers fell. Wow. The story is insane. I had no idea you were so close by and witnessed so much of the effects firsthand. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, there's certain things I think that I've experienced so much. I think I've learned a couple things about myself. over time. One, I tell a lot of stories and I talk a lot, right? Anybody who's a super friend of mine or spent enough time with me is like, yeah, no shit, Stan. Being funny right now. But the truth of the matter is, like, I understand that I tell a lot of stories and life is stranger than fiction. So oftentimes when you're a person who tells a lot of stories, people who don't know you personally like start to question like how much of what you're saying is exaggerated, right? And you just being extra and stuff like that. I'm grateful that the vast majority of these things that I've experienced in my life, people were present for. So, you know, I don't kind of waste my time trying to convince people all the time. Like, I'm not going to say I don't do it at all because, you know, sometimes you're talking to somebody you really care about and it's like, yo, you need them to know this. Is like, yo, I'm not bullshitting you right now. But I've also learned that while that sometimes makes me hesitant to share certain things with certain people, which is crazy considering how much I still share, I also realize that I'm in a different position than the average person. There are some people who say that, yo, because of the position you're in and so many people look to you, you need to talk about more things. People need to know what you think about this, or people need to know that you lived through that and this, that, and the third. And it's not that I don't agree. I'm just hesitant a lot of times to share all of these details about what I see and what I've experienced and in certain things, mainly because like, yo, like, you know, I'm doing this on a platform. This shit's monetized, right? Like, and the same thing with like, you know, posting it to the joint. Like even when I'm not making actual money off of it, there's social currency associated with it, right? Like certain attention that comes from it. And then like maybe other things I do don't get as much attention, but because this thing is a hot button issue or what everyone's talking about right now, oh, now we're going to share it everywhere. And not necessarily for the right reasons, but like people aren't sharing it just because they resonated with it. You got some people sharing it for that reason. And then there are other people who are sharing it because it's more content to keep their base engaged and they don't really give a shit what that content is. And I'm a person who gives a shit. And so I don't rush to, you know, I spend the day focused on my daughter's birthday, not on telling my 9/11 story per se, because I don't always want to, I don't want to blow up like, you know, for sharing my trauma. If I'm being frank, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to blow up for having a strong opinion about some shit that we all should be able to agree that is a terrible thing. I think it's, you know, for lack of better words, it feels fucking lame. It really feels lame. It feels self-serving. It doesn't feel genuine. So like, you know, so like while a lot of people might think like I'm very like self-centered because, you know, I come on here and I spend a good amount of my time just updating y'all with what's going on with me. It's largely because like a lot of outlets don't let you know what's going on with me. So I use the platform I have to let you know what's going on with me. And if you want to talk about these other things, I never shy away from it. But you know, just giving y'all context of why y'all don't always see me rush to jump on every hot button thing that happens. It's not that I don't have an opinion. It's not that I'm not having these conversations already or like putting certain things in place or whatever with my family or the communities I'm working with. I am. It's just I'm just not posting about it. You know what I mean? So you know, yeah, man, just perspective, I guess. Safe to say that was certainly a terrifying experience to live through. Indeed. Thank you. I'll let her know, Steph. Don't feel like Serenity speed running life to an extent. It's don't it feel like 17 years came quick. Definitely came quick, nephew. It's surreal hearing and seeing what she's been up to and what she's capable of. Hey man, look, I'm gonna embarrass you real quick. Let me tell you something. I feel the same way about you. You're a grown ass man out here, right? And what's wild is when I see pictures of you, Nair, with your dad or like doing certain things now, like, You know, knowing that the next time we hang out, like if I still drank, we could legally go to a bar together and have a drink together. That is crazy to me because I literally remember living in New York when your mom lived with us for a brief period of time, and when she wasn't living with us and you were born and stuff, and you know she come through and you be like, you know, run around the apartment and stuff in BK. And I remember picking you up, bro. Like you as tall as me, if not taller, but I can remember carrying you, bro. Like I remember you. I remember walking through Target, holding you in my arms, with you like playing with my ear and shit. Like I remember that. So seeing you now, man, like, you know, full-fledged human being, you know, caring dude, loved by your family, good people, like, yo, it's beautiful, man. Like, but yeah, it's like as somebody at the age I'm in, like it's just crazy how quick time feels like it moves when you're older versus when you were young. Like summers never felt long enough, but they felt long. You know what I mean? And it was largely because every minute of my day wasn't like in a block calendar, like mapped off and color coded with like notifications reminding me what time I got a meeting and that I need to be prepping for it. Like, yeah, so now it just feels like I never got enough time. Never got enough time to do all the things I want to do. And it's like, so yeah, you're so locked in on the various things going on in your life that when you look at like people like yourself, I look at like Serenity and so many other people younger than me, like just watching how quick time moves and stuff, and looking where y'all are now. It's amazing, you know. What's good? Hey, peace, Kevin. How y'all living? All is good over here, man. No worries. Don't worry about being late. We're just happy you here. All right. Yeah, man. All right. Warpath says, I saw 17 on your Facebook post last night, and my mind was blown. I can't wrap my head around that shit. She's 1 year away from being an adult. I still remember you posting pics of her at the playground. Yeah, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, man. Thank you, fam. All right. So let's change gears real quick. I'm gonna change the banner. Per usual, any contributions that you make to the channel is greatly appreciated. Helps me keep the lights on, the literal lights that are lighting up things over on this side, trying to keep things balanced because I got a big ass window over here and then we got the light on this side, so it's no crazy shadows. But yeah, man, your donations help me do things like that. Helps me with like the microphones, the mic stands, the audio stuff, replacing wires when I need to, all the little things. So although it isn't mandatory, it's always appreciated, man. Any contributions you can make it through the super chat. You can also do it through PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. All right, please and thanks. All right, let's see. Soul Tiger, thank you very much, man. I will let her know. I'm sure she's going to check this video out later. She usually throws it on sometimes, or at least sees the notification while she's at school and stuff, but isn't always able to join. All right. But yeah, so we already talked about 9/11 memories in terms of celebrations, you know, that obviously tied in with, Serenity turning 17 years old. Insane. But also other celebration is, man, me and the missus officially celebrated 21 years of marriage, 27 years of being together. Super dope, man. So we didn't do anything super fancy this year. Last year, you know, we went to Morocco, so that was yeah. I appreciate you for saying it. You know what I'm saying? So yes, the donations also help to keep me and mine off these poles. You know what I mean? You know, we ain't out here trying to look like the Van Tramps, as my wife would would say, you know what I mean, looking crazy, you know, with the whole family out here working. But yeah, so thank y'all, man. Any contributions you can make, always appreciated. Other ways you can support is just stream/download the music, purchase some physical merchandise. You know the things. You know what I mean? You know the things because y'all already do the things. So thank y'all. I know I ain't got nothing new right now, but don't worry, we're cooking. But yeah, man. So as I mentioned, me and the missus also celebrated our excuse me, our 21st wedding anniversary, which is crazy. Like our love is old enough to drink. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. Josh, what up, sir? Mr. McGee, peace, peace, peace. Welcome, welcome. All right. But yeah, man, so super, super excited to be, hitting that new milestone with the missus. We ain't do anything fancy, man. Just went to the mall, you know what I mean? She got her ring cleaned and stuff. We had a nice dinner and, bought her some nice jewelry. We're really not the jewelry type, but bought her something nice. She got me something nice. Did something different. It's something we don't typically do. Last time I got her jewelry was when we got married, Thank you. I appreciate it, Stacy. Thank you, sis. Man, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, yo. Beautiful thing, Yeah, it's crazy just realizing that as a couple, us being together 27 years, I'm only 46. So we've been together longer than we've been apart at this point. And that's just crazy to realize that, you know what I mean? It's a blessing. But on that note, let's get into some recap action. So I am going to upload this video real quick. Not this video, but these graphics per use. It wouldn't be a substantial weekly without it. Hold up. And yeah. Let's see if this loads properly. And then let's change these background graphics to. Yep, all right, bet. So let's fix this and add you in there. All right. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about this this recap of China. So, first and foremost, shout out to some of the fans in China who've shout out to VPNs that have popped up on my channel from time to time and let me know in the comments and stuff like that they were excited for me to finally be coming out there. And yeah, man, the tour was amazing. Shout out to any fan ever that's ever come out to any of our shows. So we're eternally grateful for that. But man, China was a different experience, man. I would say hands down the best tour that I've been a part of from a professional standpoint. Man, the team and stuff, at Coke, the company that organized it, at Coke Music, based in China, owned by Freya and owned and operated by Freya. Salute to Freya and her team for putting together some amazing shows, but most importantly, man, just for making our time there as easy as it could be, considering the fact that we had 4 shows in a row. Now 4 shows for a tour, that's a small tour, right? That's not a huge tour. But what it's important to realize is that it's still there's no days off. Everything's back to back. You're literally it took me nearly 20 hours to get there. And then to come home, if you count the time I left the hotel to get to the airport, to the time I arrived at the airport and by the time I was in the car with my family, from that time to that time on the last day, that's 24 hours, right? So 24 hours from leaving the hotel to getting into the car with my family to get home. So and about 20 of that was spent on flights. So yeah, just almost 20 hours to get there, or 14 hours flying to Japan, then 3-hour layover, then another 4 hours, 4.5 hours flying from Tokyo or Haneda to Beijing. Yeah, fam, just getting there, it's almost a day to get there just to get to work. So that was definitely rough, and luckily we had that first night off to kind of just sleep in and rest up and get ready to go to work. And when I say your boys went to work, we went the hell to work. So like the first two shows, maybe our sets total were about like maybe an hour, 10 minutes or something like that. But by the time we got to Shenzhen, when we left Guangzhou, when we got to Shenzhen, we did like 90 plus minutes. And then by the time we got to Shanghai, when we did Shanghai, we did a total of 2 hours. Like 2 hours, which was crazy. Peace, what's going on? Says been listening to Soar on repeat recently, a song that's good for your soul. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for listening. All right. But yeah, yo, like so it was dope. It was really, really dope. It was hard work and stuff. I definitely realized, I think one of my major takeaways from it, other than the fact that the team was so professional, was the fact that like, yeah, I definitely got to get back on my workout regimen and all of that. Like, you know, I'm trying to get back down to like the weight that I was maybe about like 2 years ago, slim down a little bit. And most importantly, just stay on point with, you know, making sure that my diet's good and all the things. And not just like my diet in terms of keeping my weight off, but making sure I'm getting everything I need to get. People, because of how I eat, always are worried that I'm not getting enough protein. But what I realized, the thing is, since I started working from home again, is like recently when I got my blood work done, they were telling me that I was vitamin D deficient. And so yeah, so I gotta make sure I'm getting back outside, or at least you know, taking supplements and stuff like that, and making sure I'm eating foods that are gonna make sure I'm getting what I need to get. Because yeah, when I came back, your boy was laid out. Like, so for anybody watching this who's like, damn, I ain't heard from him, damn, I'm waiting on this, blah blah blah, this that, and the third. Yo, it ain't because I'm ducking people. It's because yeah, your boy was, I was effed up when I came back. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and so shout out to like the homie DL. I can hear him like, listen, fam, this is why, you know, he's like, this is why I ain't doing. Hey, this is why DL don't be out here like that. He's just like, yo, it's a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, we were paid well, so I'm grateful for that. But, yeah, man, like just, yeah, it was really, really tired. And I know part of that is because I definitely, the last few times I've gone out, like I haven't been in the shape that I was in, like in recent years and stuff. And so while most people might look and be like, oh, he all right, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, nah, I felt different. And what's dope is the fans, I don't feel like, based off of what people said and based off of reviews that we've been seeing, none of the fans felt like we took any nights off. So that feels great. You know what I mean? You know, definitely did my best, I feel like did my best to give great shows and stuff like that. And it seems like everything was well received, but I'm definitely thinking a lot about certain things that need to happen before we figure out these next tours and stuff. And part of that is me just taking care of myself for real, you know? But let's get to these comments and I'm gonna show y'all some pictures. All right. Wow, that's a lie. Did you guys have an opening act or no? Nah, that was something else we learned. Hey fam, when I tell you like this was our tour, this was our tour. There was no opening act. Like it was us. Like we got there, and on some nights it was different too, man. Like on some nights there was like no music playing until we started. And so it was just like, nah, fam, they need to put like something on. It was just very different than how we do shows here. You know, but I think people who come out really just to see, so let's say this. One, what was so dope about it, just me and us, was walking into certain cities and seeing how thick the crowd was and realizing, nah, everybody who's here for the most part is here to see us. Occasionally, there's a few people who are there because of their friends or they know the people that work there, but the vast, like 95+% of the audience was like, oh, they're performing, we're coming. And so that was good to know. Like, it's good to have a clear idea of what your draw is when you go into a place. And sometimes when you have openers, that helps you get more people. But Depending on where you're going and stuff like that, if you've never been there before, you don't really know until you start rocking how many of those people are really there for you. So when we walked out on stage every night, it was dope to realize that, these folks are here for us. So that was one of the advantages of not having an opener. Right. If you had a little more in China, I'm assuming you mean time. What would you have liked to do? Have you gotten a chance to see the Great Wall? So if I had more time in China, definitely seeing the Great Wall would have been amazing. Seeing the Shaolin Temple, like being able to kind of like meet the monks and stuff like that. As somebody who grew up like doing martial arts, and I don't practice like that anymore. But being able to have that experience would have been dope. What else? Yeah, just general sightseeing and all of that, man. And we didn't really hang too much. Like hanging out for us was going to get something to eat. So we didn't really have time to like shop or just walk around, or like if there's a nice park and stuff, like we didn't have enough time, because I literally every day of that tour, with the exception of the night of the first show, that's the only day I wasn't on a train, wasn't in so every day, I should say, every day of that tour, I was either in a plane, a car. Did we take train? Yes, a train at one point. Like we flew all the time. So yeah, we were traveling all the time. And every time we traveled by train or plane, it was anywhere from an hour to 3. And anytime we were in the car, it was like usually like 15 to 20 minutes. But then occasionally there'd be traffic in places that were only 20 minutes away, took like 40 minutes to get to or 30 minutes to get to. So just on the move all the time. So, the only sightseeing any sights I saw was from the window of a moving vehicle. So, so that's definitely one thing that I want to try to be mindful of next time I go is, hopefully having time to see some things and do some things. Gotta love when Stan does his funky impression. My funky DL impression ends at "listen, fam." That's where it ends. Hey man, I love that brother, man. Internally struggling, but outwardly kicking ass, man. Isn't that isn't that all of us, right? Like I feel like in a fight or whatever, that's really what it is. Like you might not look outwardly scared, but like, even if you're doing well, you get hit in that moment, especially a good hit where they caught you off guard. You're like, oh, I need to tighten up. You know what I'm saying? And then you get to it. Shout out to those of you who've never been in a fight who don't understand what I'm saying. But like, as somebody who's been in a few, yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. I feel like that's really what it is. Like when you don't feel well, you don't feel 100%. Or like when you're in the middle of doing it and then something goes off, or you realize that like, your voice ain't at full capacity, or, the sound person ain't doing what they need to do, and that wasn't a problem for the most part. But yeah, you become conscious of all these things in real time, mental gymnastics, trying to figure it out, work through it. So everyone who's watching don't realize what's happening internally. They're just watching you kick ass, pretty much. You watching you kill shit. You know what I mean? So, that's what we tried to do. What's your workout regimen like, sir? I also been on a weight loss journey and have trimmed down a lot. My main exercises are lifting 3 days a week and running/walking every morning. That's dope. So yeah, typically, when I go to the gym, my goal is to get back to like 3 to 4 times. And so when I first left WBL, that was one of the first things I did was start going back to the gym. And because I really hadn't gone, I think maybe the whole time I worked there. So from November to August, like I hadn't been to the gym. Like whatever workouts I was doing was at home, and it wasn't much. Like one of the things I have at the crib broke. So I was like, well, So most of the exercise I was getting in every day was really just walking and then push-ups, right? So some of the things I do. So when I'm at the gym, I do the bike. I usually do like 30 minutes nonstop on the bike, just like for my cardio or whatever. Main reason why I do the bike and not like treadmill and stuff like that is to give my knees a break. I'm somebody who played football and stuff, so I had a couple of like injuries and stuff, when I was younger to my knees and stuff, and like not major injuries that require surgery, but the type of things that like, yeah, when I put a lot of wear and tear on my knees, I'm reminded that like, yo, you are no spring chicken, sir. So at least 30 minutes on the bike. And then I'll do like 3 sets, like with dumbbells. Usually, like I'm not out here trying to like impress anybody, like doing super heavy weights. So I'm usually doing like maybe like 15, 20 pounds and stuff like that. And like, I'll do, what was it, 20? I'm doing like reps of 20, three reps, 20, so like 60 total. And so I usually, getting in that, like with my arms. I forget the name of some of these things, so it's like I ain't a gym rat, you know what I mean? Where it's like I got the terms for every exercise I'm doing. But then I'll also, of course, stretching. I forgot to mention. I'll do leg lifts, for like my abs. I'll do leg lifts. I will do what's it called, like crunches. And then there are like certain exercises. Like there's a machine or whatever where I can do I think it's like pull downs or whatever that's called. So like these, like both sides or whatever. And then, so with my push-up routine is not crazy. I'm not this person trying to do 100 push-ups a day. And this is something I do not every day, but like a couple times a week I'll do this. So I basically get down, do 10 push-ups. Quick, like 10, 15 second, like pause. Then after that, I do 8, pause, 6, right? Then 4, then down to 2. By the time you've done that, you've done 30 push-ups, right? There are some days where like I do that once. There's some days where I do that once early and once at night. There's plenty of days where I don't do it at all. But that's something I like, probably an exercise I do more frequently than others. I also do some jumping jacks. I'll usually get in like 50 to 100 jumping jacks. Trying to think of other joints. I know I'm missing something, but yeah, that's just some of the stuff. Like some of the stuff I'll do. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for the question. All right, let's get these pictures up, and then I'll get to the other questions too. Let's make me small over here and go to the next slide. Boom, boom. All right, I'm gonna bring the chat down. Maybe I can make me a little bigger. Well, we'll keep it like that because not every picture's like this. But yeah, these are just some of the photos. Shout out to the professional photographers at the event. These were taken by a wide variety of people. Some were taken by the same people. But hold on. Shaggy, I got you in a second. Swaggy, I got you in a second. Hold tight. All right. So this photo here is from Beijing. First night at the Blue Note. This is my first time performing at Blue Note venue, period. So that was a huge thing in itself. Yeah, man. Shout out to Madness and Company who did the jersey that I'm rocking. And then shout out to Corrento Gallery who did the Nipsey shirt that I'm wearing. And they also did the snapback that I'm rocking. All right, that's the crowd right there from Beijing. Super dope crowd. Shout out to the fans like holding albums up or whatever. You see like the past is always present in the future being held up. See the R&R being held up. They're holding up Copycats by Marcus D and Shingo too. They're also holding up another one of Marcus's projects. They got the Cradle Orchestra album right there in the front too. That's the joint, the song I Never Knew. A lot of people know that song. It was used in I think this promo video that was put up. But like I was practicing it before I left, but I just couldn't get it to commit fully to memory. So that's a major thing that's on my to-do list for the next tour that I do out there, is to make sure I got that song in my repertoire, because every show I did, at least one fan asked about that song. So yeah, so got stuff to work on. But shout out to the crowd, they were great, had a great time. Yeah, man. Every night that we finished the show, this was they put up this graphic and stuff saying thank you, which was super dope. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's the homie 14 who produced the song. If you've never heard the song before, it's a song I did called When the Luster Fades. But like if you're ever looking for his stuff and want to check it out, it's the number 14, but with a question mark. So it's like 14, you know? So yeah, man, super dope guy, man. We had a great time hanging out with him and his lady. Really good people, you know? All right. This is, and this was in Guangzhou, which was the town, the second town we did. Don't have a lot of pictures from that night because most of the pictures I had were like low quality. So definitely got to get some higher quality photos to add. This was my view from my hotel, and when we got to Shenzhen, which is that particular city is like the equivalent of their. They were saying it's like their Silicon Valley and stuff. So yeah, it was a cool town, man. Cool little city. This is Marcus D just kind of warming up the crowd with instrumentals and stuff. No performance shots from this night, but this is like the next morning and stuff. Again, beautiful city. You know, this is a shot from. What's this from? Taken from the. Did we fly in? I can't remember if we flew. No, I feel like this was taken from one of the flights. I can't remember though. Maybe our first flight. Well, I'm trying to remember when I sat by the window. But anyway, yeah, it was just a beautiful shot. And I was like, I'm throwing it in the mix. Anyway, I can't remember where it was though. This was from the last night at Blue Note Shanghai. Also learned that I was saying it wrong the whole time. It's Shanghai. Not Shanghai, but yeah, man, Marcus doing what he does, you know, and that's the crowd right there at Blue Note Shanghai. And this was my second time going to China, first time touring China, but not my first time performing there. And this was my second time going to Shanghai, so that was super dope. You know, I told them the story of how I ended up there the first time, and shout out to the crowd holding up merch again, showing love, man. Like they were super great. Yo, it was just, man, it was dope. It was a great experience, you know. But let's see. Let's go back here. All right, let's get to these comments. So Swaggy asks, you been playing basketball lately or as a youngin'? So I used to play a lot when I was a youngin'. I wasn't super nice. I just had hops. I was able to dunk like by the time I was in like 8th grade, I think. I think I was able to like at least touch the rim by the time I was like, what was that, 7th grade? Like 7th grade, I was touching the rim. By 8th grade, I was dunking. And literally 9th grade, they had a dunk contest at the mall across the street from me, and you could win tickets. So they did it a couple times. They had a joint when it was at 10, and then they lowered it to 9, which for a person who can already dunk, it's like I'm only 6 feet, and I was that exact height then, but I was like 175. So I was getting up there, you know. And then they did a dunk contest and dropped it down to 9 feet. I'm like, yo, you shouldn't have done that because, like I said, I could already dunk at 9. So now I'm out here looking like Sean Kemp. It was crazy. But yeah, man, I had literally won how many basketball tickets? I think anytime you won the joint, you won 4 tickets. Like, yeah, anytime you won 4 tickets. So I won a total. They did it every day. Like throughout the weekend. First time I got in it, I got disqualified for hanging on the rim because I did like a crazy dunk, like where I'm jumping from one side. It was basically like a so it's like, you know, think about it when you're doing a reverse up under the joint, but it's like I'm doing a reverse, but I'm dunking. And remember, I'm only 6 feet. And I think when the first day they didn't bring it down from 9, so I'm doing this dunk at 6 feet tall on a 10-foot rim, and I'm running full speed, and it's not a regular basketball court, so it's just like people standing around, and it's in a mall. So after I dunk it, crowd going crazy, but I'm thinking of like, yo, I'm about to fly into the crowd and hurt somebody. So after I dunk it, I grab the rim, And when I hung on the rim, so my body wouldn't go flying into the crowd, literally they disqualified me. So I should have had 12 tickets. But so I go back the next day, and when I go back the next day, they dropped the joint to 9. I was like, oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And so yeah, man, I was doing all types of shit. So like, again, I wasn't super nice. Like, my jumper wasn't nothing, my dribble wasn't crazy. I was good at rebounding and maybe an occasional block shot. And then like if I was playing the game, it's like I wasn't dunking on people in the game and stuff like that. It was one of them things like I had to be like by myself. And a lot of times, man, like, it's neighborhood ball, so Bama's just filing like crazy. So I ain't trying to kill myself out here. You know what I mean? So like if I caught a fast break or something like that, even with that, like it's one thing dribbling and then going into a dunk, right? Like especially in a game versus a dunk contest where I ain't got to dribble at all. It's easier for me to get up there and put it down with one hand versus like in a game, because it's like I'm not trying to miss and I ain't trying to do nothing super fancy. So I will oftentimes go up with 2 if I was able to get away in a game. But like, again, I wasn't the nicest one out there, so that shit almost never happened in a game, But yeah, man, thanks for the question. How about you? You hoop? All right, Sal says, fam, I took that kidney punch once in a fight and I wanted to drop, but the girl I like was there, so I had to play it. Too real. How many of us got into arguments or fights because a girl that we were interested in was in the vicinity and we couldn't look like a punk? Too real. If you know, you know. I do Fit On, which is a fitness app, $30 a year or $2.50 a month. That's what's up. Yeah, the only fitness app I really use is Samsung Health, which tracks my steps. Also, you can plug your meals in there to give you a general idea of how you're doing with your meals, how you're doing on your, a lot of food products and different things you eat are already in the system. So it can give you a general idea of how you're doing on like your carbohydrates, how you're doing on your protein, whether you're taking in too much sugar, like all of that stuff. So it makes you like hyper aware of that stuff, to help with that side of it. But in general, it's just like, just general activity is good. I'm probably going to try to get out here and ride my bike a couple times before the weather gets too cold. So, get it in where I can. 15 pounds down so far. Congrats, sis. That's dope. I gotta do the same. I just hopped on the scale this morning. I'm at like 216, just under 217. I'm trying to get down. I'm trying to just be able to stay like around 200. If I can stay like 200, like I'm good. I think if I, for the longest, I wanted to be like 180, 185, like stay around there. But I already know, because most people are used to kind of seeing me 200 to between 200 to 215. If I drop down to like 185, people gonna think something wrong. Shout out to black folk. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Where it's like you see somebody who loses too much weight or loses a lot of weight quick, and you think they either took something to do it or they're potentially sick. And so I ain't trying to have nobody panicking. So I think 200 is a good weight for me in general. Although, of course, with my height and all of this, the science, which we know isn't typically based on people, from certain communities and stuff, it says I should be closer to like 175 or like 180. But yeah, like I think, like, trying to get around that 200 mark, I'd be good. So I'm about 16 to 17 pounds away, Next time you're in the Midwest, I hope it's a Bop Alloy show and I can catch it. I know it definitely will be a while, though. Yeah, we'll do what we can, fam. Right now, we're working on Europe. We'll see what happens with that. I'll give y'all more info when I got more details. I think that everybody has mispronounced Shanghai all their lives. The American educational system. Shake my head. Yeah, absolutely. Swaggy said, what was the process of recording like when you made To This Union the Sun Was Born? Man, thank you for that question. So, and this is, look, man, this might be a clip to bring back next year because next year is 25th anniversary. But the process basically, like I was in Tokyo for a month. You know, Nujabes gave me an apartment. Like he rented out a studio apartment for me out there, and so I stayed for a month. I had a lot of the songs written before I got there, and there were a lot of songs that I wrote while I was there. So most of my writing was done like early part in the day. I rarely wrote at the studio. A lot of times I wrote in my room, off the early morning. It's crazy how I'm just realizing this now. Like I've always been more of an early day writer. I just feel like my mind's sharper, that time. It's not that I have never done things in the evening, but I feel like my early morning writing or like early day, like it's still light outside and I haven't exhausted myself mentally yet. I'm just sharper. So most of the rhymes and stuff that was written out there, I think there was like maybe one song that was written on the plane. But a lot of it was written ahead of time, and some was written there. So songs like Remembering Dave, If I Was Your Mic, half of Ain't No Happy Endings, those for sure were written before I got there. Home Sweet Home was written in Japan. Substance was written before I got there too. I remember spitting that for them in the car. Spitting that for, when I say them, I'm talking about Nujabes and Monarisic, later known as DJ Dextream. I spit that for them in the car, and they were excited. They were excited. They were anxious to get me to the studio. But yeah, my typical day, I wake up maybe around 9 a.m. or something like that, maybe a little bit earlier depending on what we did the night before. And then I'd write for at least about an hour or two. And then maybe by around 10 or so, close to 11, I start heading to Nujabes' place. Part of my routine is I stop by the store and grab some food. Sometimes it'd be to tell the truth, this is my first trip to Japan, so I don't really know about Lawson, 7-Eleven, all of the little things that I can get there because they haven't taken me there to really do that. So I'm doing what a typical American would be, I would do, which is when you're moving around on your own, you're looking for familiar things, and I don't speak the language. So I would go into McDonald's, and McDonald's had they had the specials. You get the not two chicken joints. You get the 2 fish fillets for 200 yen. So it's the equivalent of $2. So bruh, say less. Hey man, when I showed up to Japan, I had $33.22 in my pocket. So I'm I was broke. And thankfully they gave me half my advance when I got there. So I had some money, but I was also trying not to blow all my money. So I would go to McDonald's because it was cheap. I get the little 2 fish fillets joint. That special was rocking almost the whole time I was there. So I ain't eat it every day, but damn near. But I do that, show up at the studio, and then I'd be in the studio with Nujabes for anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day, usually 5 days a week sometimes. And then the weekends we sightsee. I'd link up with friends and stuff I had out there, et cetera, et cetera. And by the time that trip was done, we had recorded 25 songs, and 13 of them came out onto this Union the Sun Was Born. My guy, real talk, what do I need to do to be able to feature a Bop Alloy beat in my video game, Commencement, Japan bonus track? That would make me a very happy fellow. So what you can do is email me and Marcus D. So you can email us. Best way to probably do it is reach out through my website. Go to iamsubstantial.com, and then you just fill out the contact page. That'll contact me. And if you've done this already, I'm sorry, I am playing catch up on a lot of emails, but start there. And in my response, I will CC Marcus D, and then we can discuss it from there. Sound good? All right. I'm still holding the shirt I bought for you that you need to fit into. So yeah, I'm working on it, Step. I'm working on it. All right. I've been losing a lot, and I want to keep going, but I want to keep a good muscle mass, right? So that's what I'm working on. Also, I had no idea we were so close in weight. I'm actually at 201 now. That's what's up, man. You know, shout out to the big guys. You look so slim in person, though, Sub. Where do you hide the weight? And so here's the funny thing, right? This is where it sounds like a brag, but it's the truth. So, you know, muscle's heavier than fat, right? So I think sometimes people are surprised when they hear my weight, mainly because, like, you know, I'm not like super cut up. You know, I'm not cut up like I used to be and stuff when I was younger and all of that. But, you know, it's like I'm not like falling all like it's, you know, it's part. It's no way to say this without sounding like an asshole. But yeah, man, it's like I've spent a good amount of my life being either physically active or at least doing some exercise. You know, and I, you know, there will be people who say, oh, well, it's different for certain people. And it is, absolutely. But what I also got to remind them is, yo, like, there aren't a lot of people who were as physically active as me in terms of the amount of time I spent in the gym and the amount of time I spent playing either football in the neighborhood, football on the team, basketball in the neighborhood, you know, the track and field and stuff, you know, until like I got hurt or whatever. And then I kind of took a break on the sports and then more so like started doing the, living in the gym. But yo, like, you know, I think I still got the paperwork in here, man. I had like two high school records for like weightlifting, you know what I mean? So like, so part of what people see like on me is like, you know, is like, yeah, sure, it's remnants from my past, but it's really like I never fell so far off that I completely lost what I gained. You know what I mean? I guess that's the best way to put it. You know, because at one point I was not only was I bench pressing 300 pounds, I could bench press 3 back in the day, and then I was leg pressing 725. I could squat 500. You know, and then like in terms of like dumbbells, like in reps, you know, I was crazy. Like, yo, even with some of the weight, like, man, I'd put like 400 pounds on leg press and then do like reps at 30. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's part, remember I was talking about like my jumping ability. So like, cause I think high school, the lightest I was like 175. And then by my sophomore year, I was up to 210. So like, you know, yeah, man. So yeah, so I think that's why like I maybe look slimmer than I am. Like, cause 200 sounds like a lot, right? Or 200 plus sounds like a lot. But if you got a decent amount of muscle, you ain't gotta be super cut up, but if you got a decent amount of muscle, that's part of the weight, you know? All right. Any project coming up final quarter of the year? Are you already planning for 2026? Plans for 2026 are definitely in the works. I don't have any solo plans for the end of this year, but the Bop Alloy record is about 90+% done. So thank you for this question. So 2 things are about to happen. And it's a good thing you brought this up because this is something I should be telling y'all. So the Kickstarter campaign for the Bop Alloy project is going to launch before this month is out. So be prepared for that. You know, that's coming because the album is pretty much there. The next thing is the other project that I had something to do with, but it's not my album per se, is Javier Starks' project. We were in talks with a label, but those talks fell through. So we're going to self-release. The challenge now is that we need funding to do certain aspects of what we plan to do. And so one of the things I wanted to run by y'all, I already talked it over with Marcus D, but we're likely going to need to do a Kickstarter campaign for Javier's project too. So what I want to know from y'all is, let's say I launch a Kickstarter campaign. It's not going to be next week, but like 2 weeks from now for the Bop Alloy project. So me and Marcus is doing that. When that ends, how many of y'all, like if another Kickstarter campaign popped up 2 weeks later, but for a different project, how many of y'all would still support? You know what I mean? And it's important to remember, supporting doesn't mean you need to put hundreds of dollars up for both, right? Support just means you're buying a copy of whatever format you choose, like from the campaign. I know some of y'all, you know what I mean, y'all balling out of control. You're like, nah, Stan, but I'm trying to single-handedly fund like half of it. And God bless you. You know what I'm saying? God bless you. You know, some of y'all man, y'all are the greatest for doing things like that. But just being real with y'all, I recognize that putting two campaigns back to back is going to decrease the likelihood of getting maybe the type of support we would hope to get. Because like, you know, we know that Javier has an audience, but we know that Javier's audience isn't necessarily the size of my audience or the size of Marcus D's. So I know a lot of the support for Javier's project is going to come from the fact that Marcus D produced half of it, or not the whole, produced the whole thing. And then that, you know, and then I'm involved as well. So let me know. So those are the big things to answer your question. Those are the big things coming for the rest of the year. All right. I will do exactly that. Sounds perfect. Thank you, sir. All right. Swaggy, gotta hit the hay now, man. Stay blessed. Peace, family. All right. Question: what are your feelings on modern rappers using the punching in method of rapping / recording a track? As someone who writes their verses, how do you feel that impacts the music? Yeah, I'm not. As long as they're writing, man, I'm not, you know, because I know there's like the punch in joint where it's like they figure it out line by line and stuff, and then as quick as they figure out the line, they record it. Line, record it, right? And they just keep going in piece by piece. There's some veterans that I know that since this technique has been introduced, that they've been doing this. So I'm not opposed to it. It's just not something I do. Like, I'm a person that likes to write my verse top to bottom first before I even try to record it. And it's partly because I'm not just thinking about the recording. I'm also thinking about live performance. And so just my process, I've got the music on loop. Sometimes I record what I call a scat track, and then I loop the scat track section by section. This is not my everyday routine, but this is part of my routine occasionally. And then I go through section by section, kind of figuring out like the words to the different flows and tones that I put in there. There are other times where I just leave the beat on loop and then I just figure it out bar by bar. There's an interview that I did with Wordsworth coming out eventually, where he points out, he's just like, yo, I noticed that how you write your verses almost feel like stories, even when they aren't like the typical story. You write them like stories. And I didn't even realize I was doing that until he pointed it out. And then I started listening back to my stuff like, oh, wow. But I do think that's the advantage of the technique of writing that I do, where it's like I'm thinking of the verse as a complete thought. Like in every part of it are connecting thoughts to push forward the full narrative, even when it's punchline, like battle rap driven stuff. You know what I mean? That's just how my mind works. So again, I'm not judging artists who use that technique. I just, like, at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to how you're thinking about starting, like what you want your end result to be. If you're just trying to make a hot record, or like you have this concept, this well thought out concept, and you're trying to deliver it in a way where it's like, it's a song that people can appreciate and is maybe digestible, like, you know, for the average listener, but still has a lot of complexities that checks all the boxes you want to check for yourself. Like, so if those are your goals and you're able to meet those goals by using this technique, more power to you. It's definitely not my method though. You know what I mean? Never heard of this punching in method before. What's it about? So it's the idea of you go into the booth, they play the beat, and then you're just kind of figuring out what you're going to do. And like you figure out the one line, you record that. Then you figure out your next line, record that. Figure out your next line, record that. As opposed to writing the whole thing and then going in there and attempting to deliver the whole verse. So as I was talking about with my method, part of what happens is once I got the whole verse, I start rehearsing it. And literally before I even record it, I've rehearsed it maybe like 50 times already. Like I've spit it with the mic off, with not even going into the booth, like maybe 50 to 100 times already, because what I'm doing is paying attention to how hard it is to deliver in its entirety, right? Like, are the breaths, am I leaving space for breaths? And if I'm not, I'm literally writing the breaths into the track. So I'm editing certain parts where I'm like, what are words that don't need to be there, right? What's a sound of a word I can leave off? So like there's sometimes where you hear rappers say things in a way that maybe isn't how we traditionally speak. And a lot of times you're bending the words or you're removing part of the words because the idea or the thing you're saying is being implied. And most people with any sense who understand English, right, and how we use the words and how even when we take away pieces of it, how that works in certain communities. So you use that to make the words bend the way you need to make them bend, so that I can deliver it in a way without sacrificing my tone or the power of my delivery because I'm running out of breath. And so what I've learned to do is edit myself in a way to be able to deliver verses like that, even when they're wordier verses or fast verses or whatever. I still write them in a way at the end of the day that allows me to be able to get through the whole thing. And that doesn't mean that I don't punch sometimes when I'm struggling at a particular part, but the struggle has more to do with the fact that I don't have it committed to memory yet. But that rehearsal that I do allows muscle memory to start to kick in for certain parts. So I've done it so many times that by the time I get to the booth, certain parts, it feels like I'm starting to coast. And then really like having the rhyme in front of me is a safety net at best. It's not really because I don't know it at all at this point. And so there has been a time where like someone, shout out to Wayna, she hit me up on a Monday or Tuesday, like, hey, I need you to hop on this song with me. And oh, by the way, next week we're going to perform it on a TV show. Wait, what? So Monday or Tuesday, I get hit up by her. By Thursday, the verse is written. By Friday, it's recorded. By the weekend into early that week, I'm rehearsing it. And then by Wednesday or Thursday the following week, I'm recording it live on TV, or I'm recording it for TV. So, so my method has worked for me, you know what I mean? And I'm performing it live on TV without the backing track. Like the music's playing, but my voice ain't there. So if I mess up, if I'm not rapping, it ain't there. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I imagine it's still a few years away, but have you thought any ideas for your next solo title? So, man, I did have a title idea, but I haven't decided whether or not that is something I'm actually going to do, or if it's just, maybe it becomes something else. I have been thinking about other things. I've been thinking about doing The Garden too, like doing a new instrumental project. I've been thinking a lot about like compilations, like taking like a lot of my old tracks and maybe putting them together on compilations where it's like taking songs of mine that are from different projects but have the same theme and reintroducing those with like one or two new songs. Part of the reason for that is, we're in a day and age where a lot of people are rushing people to make new music, but quite frankly, don't really know all of my back catalog or any of my back catalog for some of the newer listeners, or the listeners who only really listen to collaborations I've done and not necessarily to my solo work. So I've been thinking a lot about what are ways to bring attention to my old catalog, while still giving y'all a little bit of new music, and all of that, because there's a lot of anniversaries coming up for old albums I've dropped, like, 25th anniversary next year for To This Union the Sun Was Born. Then in 2017 will be, 2017 is when the past is always present in the future. So that means by 2027, we'll be at the 10-year anniversary of the past is always present in the future. Then by 2028, we'll be at the 20-year mark for Sacrifice. So like, I got a lot of old releases where I've been thinking about like different ways to bring them back to y'all and stuff with cooler versions, or like doing versions of it that didn't exist before. So I've been thinking more about that and not so like laser focused on what a new album is going to sound like. I have been thinking about some people I've met in recent years who I'm super fans of, who I've been thinking about collabing with. and maybe doing EPs or full length projects with some of these folks. I met Rob Arahu back in Tokyo last December, and it was dope because he was a fan, and I was like, well, that works out because I'm a fan of you. And so and I love his production, and his production it's like electronic, but it's like jazz, and then it's progressive. And like, yo, I've been wanting to do some stuff like that for a very long time, but those aren't the type of producers that hit me up most of the time. And I really love what he does. So my hope is that we can make something happen, because I'd definitely be open to that. You're basically freestyling, and the engineer just cuts up what you're rapping and pastes the good parts together. Yeah, that's a better summation of what that is than what I gave. I don't think that there's an issue with multiple campaigns. I've seen others do it successfully. It's more about if you have enough brand power and interest in the product to pull it off. And there it is. Thank you, sis. All right. Z says, Substantial, hello, how are you? I am great. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. All right. Especially on Kickstarter, there's a whole literal science to how people will find one more worth backing versus another, and some of it is superficial, but some of it can prep well if you know. Yeah. It can be prepped well if you know. Yeah, I follow. We've had a lot of success with Kickstarter campaigns, so I think we know what to do. I'm just also being mindful of coming to the fans like that quickly, like literally before I think this is what my concern is I think I've built a track record of delivering what I said I would deliver enough times that people don't have to worry about that. But I think the concern is more so that how many people are going to rush to support something else when they still haven't received the other thing they just backed. But I think our track record of delivering what we said we're going to deliver will speak for itself, and we'll be fine. All right. Not literal science, but it feels like from a marketing standpoint. Yeah. But yeah, always happy to support these things. I can always, you can always shoot me a message anytime. Appreciate you. Thank you, sis. Isn't Sacrificial Lambs about wow, yes. Sacrificial Lambs will be 20 years old next year. Man, I didn't even think about that. Wow. Because it came out 2006. Yo, that's crazy. Man, I might think about like some type, like, I don't know if I'm gonna do a vinyl repressing because that wasn't one of my most popular releases, but at least like a really clean version of it on CD, and because for those who don't know, I did that completely myself. Like I bought like blank digipack covers, printed on stickers instead, stuck the stickers to the cover, bought like resealable bags, put them inside of there, and then all of those CDs were replicated CDs. So I think giving Sacrificial Lambs a proper pressing for 20 years, that might be, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's worth considering, man. Let me know, for those of you who know about that project, because basically the song's cut from Sacrifice, if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Because a proper pressing of it doesn't exist, at least in CD form, and maybe we do cassettes. Will you ever come to Oregon? I'm going to correct you. Will you ever come back to Oregon? I would love to come back to Oregon. I've performed in Oregon at least 3 times over the years. No, I'm lying. I've performed in Oregon Yeah, I've performed in Oregon 5 times. The problem with Oregon is, like, the only time I've done big shows in Oregon is when I've opened for someone else. So I've definitely performed there at least 5 times, if not 6, because I've toured with Cunning Linguists, and we were support for them. I was support for them when I came through there. That happened at least twice, if not 3 times. And then I performed there with Sign back in the day. We did a show in Oregon and Sign. And then there's Bop Alloy. I've performed there too. The unfortunate thing is the last 2 shows I've done in Oregon. The last show I did in Oregon, 3 people showed up. That was in a small town. I think it was like outside of, I think it was in Bend, Oregon. The show before that, it was only 20 people there. So clearly I don't know the people who are promoters out there, but if I'm being honest, I don't have a ton of fans like in that region that I know of. Maybe there are people there who are aware of me, but they're not active like in my social media outside of yourself. And then shout out to Griselda. You know it's real when I can tell you who the fan is. That's important to point out. You know what I mean? So while I would love to come back to Oregon and do something, I am definitely not doing that without getting with the right promoter, because it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because again, like I've never done a show out there where there's been more than 20 people, like when I was headlining, and that's just being real. You know what I mean? You and Odyssey are my favorite DC artists, and you guys are you guys going to collab more on future tracks? I don't know. You know, I don't see Odyssey much these days and stuff. We're cool. Like whenever we bump into each other, it's all love and stuff. But you know, I mean, I know he's doing big things and stuff like that, and I'm probably not on his radar as much for collaborations. And vice versa. Like I've said it time and time again, I typically do the most work with people I'm in constant communication with. So like I typically don't kind of go out of my way to hit up like some of the people like that I know I could work with when I know like, you know, we're not really building a lot, or like they're probably going to agree to do the joint, but when it comes out, like they're not maybe going to be available to do much else outside of the original recording. So it's all love, man. I got nothing but love for Odd, but yeah, no plans right now. It's funny you mentioned him too. Like someone sent me something that was on Facebook where they did like an imaginary, if we did, what's it called? Versus, like who would you pick? Like Substantial or Odyssey. And then they gave like these kind of breakdowns of who we were. I could tell by the breakdown that they gave me that this person doesn't listen to a lot of my music, or maybe isn't a like super fan of me. Like they're aware, but they're not like big on my stuff. And so, and it was partly because of like words they use when describing the theme. But basically when they did the vote, like, yeah, like it was no votes for me. It was no votes for me. Everybody picked Odyssey. And I was like, hey man, listen, I'm a fan of Odd too. So I get why you dig them, but I could also tell, I was like, yeah, this community, this clearly is not where my fans are. Cause I know I got fans who feel differently, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, one of the dudes that voted, I actually know, and this dude said, he's like, Stan's my man, but I'm picking Odd. I was like, damn, it be your own people. It be your own people. So anyway, you had so many albums about to hit 20 and 25. Sounds like you got to have a big celebration overall, to be honest. So that's the plan for next year for To This Union. The Think Different tribute jam that I'm doing is going to be a big celebration around To This Union. The Sun Was Born. You know what I mean? I've been waiting for that too. Need to hear them both rapping together. That would be straight fire. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely in 06 because that was the year I met you. You learned and learned about your music. Man, that's what's up. I appreciate you for rocking with me all this time, bro. It was International African Arts Festival. Woo! I've been a fan of yours ever since, my man. Yo, that was the first time I really was tabling like that. You know what I mean? Outside of just tabling at a show, you know. Hold on, just making sure something real quick. I'm sorry, not trying to be rude. Just saw a text come through, making sure it's not the missus. All right, cool. Facts, them on tracks together will be dope. Yeah, man, definitely not opposed to it. What conventions are we trying to get Stan at next year? There you go. So, yo, listen, I'm definitely trying to add some more conventions to the mix. You know, for the most part, I go to a lot of the same ones, and almost all of them are on the East Coast. So I'm definitely interested in finding some conventions down south, some conventions in the Midwest, and some conventions on the West Coast, both Northwest, Pacific Northwest, and also Southern Cali and all of that. So yeah, man, if y'all know about like different conventions that might be interested, I'm definitely open to learning about the joints, and it's worth pitching to them to see if I can get out there. Oh, Griselda, word, that's what's up. Let's see. I'm friends word. That's what's up. Yeah, Griselda's great. Griselda's great. I met her in person. I say we, me and Marcus D met her in person because she came to our LA show. Because I think she's from LA. Not think she's from LA originally, and so she came to the show. But yeah, shout out to Griselda. She's awesome. I see your game and I respect it, Warpath. I'm gonna try to get you at DreamCon and Mag West. That's on my to-do list. Yeah, I would love to come to both of those. People who go to DreamCon have mentioned it several times that I should check it out. Definitely open to it. Mag West, I already got relationships with people who do MagFest here, so I should definitely maybe spend some more time and energy trying to make that happen for next year. But yeah. That I'm open to it for sure. I'll send you an email and we can talk conventions out here in Cali. I do work with plenty of them. Sal, thank you. I appreciate you. You're the best. Yeah, she went to the Bop Alloy one. I wanted to go so bad. Yeah, it's all good. So hopefully we make our way a bit closer to y'all. Look, tell y'all straight up, because I gotta get ready to go. But my goal for next year is to definitely be on the road a little bit more than I have in the past. Not trying to really overdo it, but like part of the reason why I know I got to get my, my physical health on point and make sure like my exercise, all that stuff is up, because China was a reminder that like, yeah, bro, this is physical work. You know what I'm saying? Especially getting up there rocking for like an hour or two, like straight. And doing everything else that I do, that comes along with it, and all the lugging of this stuff, and then living out of your suitcase. It's a lot. But next year, with it being the 25th anniversary of my first album, I definitely plan on touring a bit more, because I'm doing a repressing of that. So look out for more announcements. And like I said, we've already been in talks with 2 promoters out in Europe, both in Spain and France, about like getting back out to Europe next year. I haven't been back performing wise since 2017. So that's already begun. And I'm already confirmed for MomoCon next year too. So Atlanta, I will be back soon. But yeah, last thing I'm gonna say, and then I gotta get out of here for real. There is a show coming up on October 6th. I'm not planning to perform. I'm just going to be there to support the homie. But there's a dope artist by the name of Dementia that I did a track with a while ago. I'm going to give you this info in a second. Hold up. But there's an artist by the name of Dementia, and we did a track. Oh, man, I thought the thing was open already. Slipping. But I'm going to give y'all this info so you got it. But yeah, he's an R&B singer. I think he's from Florida originally. He's Vietnamese. Super dope. And let's bring it up. Hold on. Man, there he is. All right, cool. So yeah, man. Dementia. He's performing with Cozy Boy and Sonoy, and yeah, man. Like he's popping, and he got a track that we did together years ago. I'm trying to find it so I can give y'all the name. Where is that joint at? I know I am not tripping. Album's about release date. Yeah, the album came out 2021. It's called Somehow, and there's a track on there called Till the End. And so we did a song together years ago, but he's going to be performing at Songbird here in DC, and that's happening on October 6th. So man, if any of y'all are in the area, want to check out a dope show, and you like some soul, some R&B and all of that, with a little modern twist, definitely check that event out. I'll be there. Misses will likely be in the mix too, probably hanging out and stuff. So if we see you, say what's up. You know what I mean? But come through, support the homie. He's super talented, and maybe we'll do some more work sooner than later. But on that note, oh, hold up. Info coming through. Says, Cali, which Cali ones do you go to? I bet we cross streams. Says, everything from AX, Fanime, Comic Con, and the smaller ones, all over Southern Cal. Can't forget SAC Anime too. Jeez, y'all at all the joints. Man, I can't wait. I'm trying to hang with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to come out west and go to a convention. I like doing nice things too. All right, y'all, let me get out of here. Man, I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. I know we didn't talk about everything we could have talked about. Obviously, there's been like several shootings here in the United States, high profile things that a lot of people got strong opinions on. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Man, I think major takeaways to kind of, take a minute and reflect, right? Number one, like, we know how crazy this place is, and we know that, like, I mean, you could be minding your business, you can do all the right things, and somebody come for you. And that's just the world we live in. That's the country we live in. So, just a reminder, man, like, folks, be safe. But also, like, I think I'm not the type of person to quote unquote celebrate. Like, when I see someone like die or be killed or whatever who I didn't like agree with. But I also I get it. I understand the importance of, like, the fact that people who love this person lost someone they love, and those people are mourning, right? And and the grace required to kind of like respect that. I get that. But I also think this is an important time. And I think for me, I'm gonna speak from the point of view of where I connect. When people ask me why I make the kind of music I make, where like some people are like, yo, I just wish you curse more. Oh, like, yo, man, like, you know what? If you did more songs about this or that, or like, made more edgy, made more hard music, made more this, like, basically be less of who I actually am to appease whatever it is they need to get out of the music they listen to, right? But I am who I am, and I put that in my music because, like, these words live forever. And what I say and stuff, like, I've been doing this a long time, so I've seen things that I've said as my as a young person come back to me, right? And then I gotta address it, and I gotta like show them that I'm not that person anymore. I'm not saying I never was that person, but I'm not that person anymore, and haven't been for quite some time. So that's why I don't run from those things. So that being said, it's just a reminder, like, I am reminded almost daily about how what I say and the energy I put in the world, how it comes back to me. And so for the most part, I'm not out here spreading energy, spreading messages and stuff like that are harmful to anybody. I'm out here pushing what I love first and foremost, right? And most importantly, I'm not doing it at the expense of other people, right? Because I've recognized that everything comes back. Everything, not just blessings. Not just blessings. So for those of you looking for answers and what to make of all this stuff, I offer that to you. You know what I mean? Careful what you put out here, because the quote that comes up time and time again is, yo, you have freedom of speech, but that does not make you free from consequences. And what we say and do in this life has real consequences, yo. And you don't have to agree with the shit. You don't have to agree with how things come back, but you are not living in the real world if you don't think these things are not coming back for people. And I ain't talking about like hell or heaven. I'm talking about before your time comes, it's going to show up at your door. And if anybody should have been aware of how it could potentially show up, it was that man. So on that note, I'm out of here. Family, take care. Y'all be blessed, man. Take care of y'all stuff. Take care of yourself. Thank you, family. I appreciate it, man. All right, y'all. Peace. Oh, and it's to lighten the mood, it's time for my youngest daughter's favorite part of the show. Peace. Who made it to the end? Who made it to the end? You made it to the end. Who made it to the end? Who made it to the end? You made it to the end. Yo, 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 yo. Who made it to the end? You made it to the end. Who made it to the end? You made it to the end. Who made it to the end? You made it to the end. Yo, 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 yo. Subscribe, like, do whatever you like. Stay subscribed, like, do whatever you like. That's right.